Dirty Scrap Podcast.
Thank you so much for being here in the Scrap the Aluminum podcast. The idea of the podcast is digging into, all the challenges of the metal recycling industry, manufacturing, and with all this uncertainty, that we have right now in the market. Oh man, it is crazy. So how you been?
We've been good. We've been good. We're servicing a different set of consumers from aluminum, copper, and stainless. So we get to see the crazy markets rolling on all three sectors. So yeah, things are pretty good.
I can imagine how everything is going. So the idea of today is, I want to talk about about the industry, about how your metal agency is providing different approaches for the industry, and how this tariff and the 232 section is impacting this industry. But before digging into that, I want to know a little bit more about the Guatemala aspect and how a guy like you become, the guy that we already know that been in a lot of different conference and high profile charges in huge companies, and then creating this agency that I think is going to help a lot the recycling business. So before we going in that direction, tell me a little bit more about you, because as me, as an immigrant, we come here, to live the North American dream that is almost having, being tired the whole day because you need to work and work and work. So how that happened?
I really appreciate that. So I am originally from Guatemala. My family is from Guatemala. And I was very blessed with the opportunity that my mom immigrated to the United States, and I was part of that immigrant wave to the U.S. I have been a U.S. citizen now for 30 plus years, and I feel very blessed about the opportunity. But certainly that marked a big component about how I approach things, and specifically, my grandfather was always an entrepreneur. So he grew up. I grew up in a metal shop in Guatemala, around metal welding, cutting big pieces of stainless steel and rebars, manufacturing, and all that. So a lot of that component just comes from there, right? And I've been very lucky and blessed to have the opportunity to work for several different companies and be on the metal recycling industry now, going on 20 plus years. And it's something that I really like, and I really enjoy the people aspect of that as well.
Right, definitely. So as far as I know, you started like in the packaging industry, and then you
Yeah.
just jump into the recycling scrap business. How was that transition, and why you? I mean, I can understand that from your grandpa, you had this, let's say, introduced into the scrap business already, right? But
Yeah.
why from one industry to another?
Yeah, it was a very interesting transition. So my background is industrial engineering,
Hmm.
and so all sorts of machinery and equipment efficiencies and all that good stuff. So I used to work for a packaging company, and quite frankly, it got boring, and I was really looking
Why?
because it's the same thing every day, right? I mean, when you're dealing with machines, is very very predictable. And as an engineer, all you're trying to do is just make it a tad more efficient, right?
Right.
Um, and then I always used to have a lot of interaction with the metal recycling guys that used to pick up the scrap from the factory that I used to work at.
Okay.
And I always find the conversation with them very interesting, and talk about the challenges of commodity and transportation. So I thought it was pretty cool. Uh, Reach out to the owner of the metal recycling company and say, "Hey, are you looking for somebody to manage your operations?" Full disclosure, he turned me down the first time, and he did. Yes, he did. And I went back to him and I say, "I'm really interested. I really think that I can offer a lot of value, and I really would like to work at the metal recycling yard." So after a few conversations, he gave me a job, and that was 20 plus years ago.
Why he changed his mind?
um, I was very persistent, actually. I called on him and I went and visited him, and I think that I really it really make a point that I really wanted to do a new challenge. I was ready for that, and I think that he saw that I was, very eager to take on the opportunity. So I'm very lucky that I was given that opportunity to learn the metal recycling from the operation standpoint.
Right.
Plus, it was a great education for sure.
So as far as I know, you have like this whole experience from project management, product management, plant manager, and then dealing with sales and commodity. How was this journey and why this journey took you to found the metal agency?
Yeah, so I always believe that in order to excel or really understand a business, you have to do a lot of different components of it.
Right.
I'm a believer. I'm a believer on that. I think that you're able to sell a product that you know well, how it is utilized, what people use it, what are the bottlenecks, what are the pain points, and what are the attributes, right?
Right.
So I was able to start on the operation side, understanding how material gets packaged, why the quality has to be of a certain spec,
Hmm.
transportation, logistics, safety, human resources, you name it. And then I came into the commercial side, so I knew a lot of background, intrinsic value about the information
Right.
of the packaging and the process, and that really made me, I believe, a really valuable commercial person
Hmm.
because I was able to put that operational knowledge with my commercial knowledge. So
Right.
when I used to go into the fields and I see a big, you know, pile of scrap, I knew exactly what it was going to take to get processed. So I knew my costs and my logistic challenges, and I was able to really make a good deal and articulate what I needed to do, for the company. So I
Right.
really think it's really helped me a lot.
Yeah, I'm totally agree with you. At the end of the day, if you are related to all the value chain of a product, it is easier for you from the commercial point of view to sell it because a sale is not just a money exchange; it's also a value exchange. And I think that
Absolutely.
approach is something that we as a salesman needs to understand very well. I'm a salesman as well, and definitely knowing from the technical point of view what you are selling, but also knowing your competition and knowing the end user is something that is a key, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I have had the opportunity to do assignments that back then I was like, yeah, I don't know why I need to do this. But they turned out to be a very valuable component. I can tell you right now that I was assigned for probably about close to a year the responsibility of managing container logistics for, back then Snitcher on the non-ferrous side and managing the team during a transition period. Um, it felt like very disjointed kind of
Right.
assignment. But now that I look back at it, I learned so much about transportation, logistics, international insurance, transactions, everything. It was really well worth it.
No, I can imagine. What are those challenges that we are facing right now on the recycling side that we weren't facing 10 years or 15 years ago?
I gotta tell you, Julio, and I think you and I have talked about this briefly. It feels like the amount of change and that we're seeing is it comes at such a rapid pace these days. And some of the fundamentals I think that are really affecting us right now are probably threefold. One is that overall the global economy is not doing its best right now,
Right.
right? So we live on consumer supply and demand, and that driver is very sluggish today, as we sit here today, right?
Yeah.
Most global economies, there's pretty much a consensus that countries are just not spending as much, and companies, for that matter, don't spend as much.
Right.
So there's very little investment on the fundamentals of supply and demand today. Second, I think that we're going through a generational change of
Mhm.
where a lot of that experience that used to be in the factory floor, in the recycling yards, in the sales teams are we're turning a generational page,
Definitely.
and we are having a really hard time backfilling that knowledge. Um, and it really affects what companies are and are able to do. The sales guy that knows that client for the last 20 years, and they just intrinsically know that relationship and those cycles, they're retiring,
Yeah.
right? And we had done a poor job filling the pipeline with the new generation that we need to invest on.
Right.
That's second, I would say. In the third one, I think that the pace of technology, forget about AI. AI is for all intents and purposes is
Right.
a newer technology. It's very disruptive, but there is a lot of advancement on technology that we're trying to keep pace with today that is affecting everything that we do, and especially on the manufacturing side.
Hmm.
I think that that is going to change significantly the way we approach work and the way factories approach work and what they can and cannot do. So I think that that's all of those have been there before, but I think that we are seeing all three of them coming at the same time, intersecting.
Right.
It's a very challenging time. Yeah.
Definitely, totally agree. Let's talk about those three items that I think we need to develop a little bit more. You said, first of all, everything related to I want to go first of all into this new generation coming into the industry, right? Because right now I can see that people that has the knowledge, they are retired right now. They don't want to keep working. I mean, and I understand they helped to build this industry from scratch, and they are tired. And actually, one of the reasons that I started the podcast was to help the people that is outside, the young engineers, to get this huge knowledge from people that is very well known in the industry, but how we can help those people to understand that, or to help them to not go for 30 years in the industry to reach those levels of knowledge, how we can help them.
Well, I think that people like you are doing their part. I mean, here is a podcast that is available to anyone,
Right.
right? And what you're making is you're making knowledge accessible to anyone, right? So I think that that's something that we have to do a better job of. And I think that we also really need to do a better job also incentivizing the new generation to look at industry, manufacturing sector, construction sector, uh, as an area that they can come in and thrive, right?
Right.
I think that we have done overall not a very good job about incentivizing the new generation to come and give us
Definitely.
a try. It's a
Right.
very fascinating business once the people get to know it. We get to build things. It's fascinating. Think about that. Uh,
Definitely.
yeah, we get to build massive machines and machines that pour molten metal, and they get to be fabricated on cool parts all over the globe. I think that that's still pretty fascinating, and I think that we just need to do a better job of outreaching people. I also think that making yourself available as a mentor to other people that reach out is very important.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you the amount of people that are on my Rolodex that I can call and say, hey, I'm trying to kind of figure this thing out. Can you lend me your advice? And I find that more people than none are always very gracious with their time and counsel to be able to
Right.
do that.
What do you think about this? And I want to go into a sensitive topic right now. But by accident, the U.S. industry came into a huge dependency of immigrants, right? And it is what it is. Do you think these, let's say, immigrant policies right now will affect the way that we are sharing the knowledge into this industry, and is going to be like, let's say, a stop for growing the industry? Or do you think it is something that we will replace for automation instead of keeping, bringing people into the country and growing the industry, but also giving the people the opportunity to have a better life? Because as you and me, that we came from another country, this country is giving us a lot, and I love that. But also, it's a reality that something is happening right now, and it's going to be an breaking point. So, what do you think about it?
Well, man, that's certainly a very interesting question. And without getting into the whole political component to it,
Right.
the fact of the matter is that we are going through this generational change, right?
Hmm.
And a lot of that generation is an immigrant generation,
It is.
right? Regardless of what the legal status is or is not, is what it has helped build a lot of these industries. Certainly, and if we don't do a good knowledge of if we don't do a good job of capturing that knowledge, it doesn't matter how much automated you want to be tomorrow. You need a transitional knowledge, right? Uh, and it's going to be very very hard to do that while people who know the factories or know the operations in and out are no longer there, right? And right now, we're seeing a lot of that because of this generational change, and because we're going through these very challenging times as it pertains to immigration laws. That certainly is going to affect how we are able to absorb that transition.
Right. And one of the, let's say, the other items is investing in technology and obviously technology. So investment and technology. Um, Everything related to tariff is coming because as far as I understand, government wants to reindustrialize the U.S. industry, right? But, and actually, I am writing a column right now for one of the aluminum magazines that we have. I've been working on with them like for the last 6 months, and the column is talking about this paradox that we have that the tariff should be something that will allow us to invest in technology because we want this industry to grow from the inside. But what I am seeing is in the US, people is just stepping back and saying, oh, I don't want to make any investment right now because of this uncertainty. But companies from overseas are coming and they are requesting companies like my company to help them to understand how this market works and how easy it is for them to invest into this market. So do you feel that is this, let's say, snowball is growing in the direction that we will have more foreign companies coming instead of local companies investing in their own companies for the growing? Oh, sorry, my camera disconnect.
That's okay. Well, I can tell you at least this. My personal opinion on that is this: that in a very uncertain environment, companies tend to be very hesitant about laying the capital that they need, along
Right,
with everything else, to be able to develop new businesses. Right. So,
right,
to your point, right now we are raising tariffs in order to try to prop up domestic manufacturing, domestic production, but yet companies are looking at the horizon and saying, I kind of feel very uncertain about the business environment. So I'm just going to kind of hold back, right?
right,
So uncertainty is a big holdback of that. The other part is that even companies that had the best intention and the capital, they have made a commitment that they want to come and bring manufacturing back into the US, are encountering some very significant fundamental problems. One is manpower, okay, people, right? That's one. It's
big
easy to
one.
find a
It's
big
a
one,
big
right?
one.
That's the big one. A lot of companies that I talk to is like, yeah, we can find the land, no problem. We can find the company to build it. We are not able to find the guy who is going to run those machines.
Why?
It's
Why do you think is that is happening? And what we can do from the point of view of EVP, employee value proposition, to keep the people inside the industry, because we as salesmen, we are always thinking about what value proposition I can bring to the customer. But EVP, employee value proposition, is something that I am not seeing very often out there. So why this is happening and how we can correct this situation?
Well, unfortunately for us, it has happened for many years, right? We stopped teaching shop classes, for example, in high school many years ago,
Oh,
right?
right.
So think about it, right? The kid who was very mechanically inclined that can learn and go how to operate a CNC machine, he had to pick something else. There's just not an option, right?
Right.
And now the guy who and the operator who has known that machine for the last 40 years, he's retiring, and he has no one to tell him or to show him what to do, right? So
Right.
to your point, the value proposition has been placed on all these technical skills, sales, accounting, and all of that. We have not done a lot of that on what I believe to be a fundamental skill that we need, which is the
Right.
trade schools and the trade skills, right? Um, I used to manage a region for Schnitzer here in the West Coast, California, Hawaii, and Nevada for many years on the operations side. And I can tell you, we struggle, finding technical welders.
Right.
Uh, the guy who does technical welding, that's one of many. I can tell you that we back in the days, it has been a struggle, and until we refill the pipeline and we invest more on that proposition of those trade schools and that trade component, I think it's going to be a very tough haul going forward.
Right. I mean, it's not easy from the technology point of view because I am seeing a lot of green waves and everyone wants to, go and decarbonization, everything, but I am not seeing that the right technology is coming fast into the US. I think this transition is taking too long. Why? I don't know. For example, the European market, they went through this, let's say, transition so many years ago, right? Right now, we are not seeing this transition going very fast into the US. Why? What do you think it is happening right now?
I think that you mentioned Europe. I'm going to mention Asia. Asia has been there many years ago,
Right.
right? I mean, today, those waves of green technologies that we're seeing here have been perfected overseas and implemented for many years. I think that one of the reasons that they are able to do that is because they have, from a cultural standpoint, I think that their horizon of patient is a lot longer and the horizon of planning is a lot longer than we tend to have in the United States.
Right.
Uh, that
China plans 50 years ahead.
yes,
It's
yes,
freaking crazy. And if they say
yes,
that they will grow 6%, they don't grow 5 or 7, they grow 6.
yeah, and they plan how to do that for 50 years,
Right.
right? So before you know it, they become the dominant player on that sector, right? Where in the United States we tend to have very short horizons that mainly peg to short political cycles.
Right.
To just to be perfectly honest, um, and that is changing frequently. So every 4 years or so, you have a stop and go, you have a stop and go, and some go, and then some stop. So it's very hard for industry to take place and really get settled when you're competing with Asia, with a 50-year horizon, that continues to grow.
Right. It's not easy. It's very complicated to compete with that. Now, let's talk about the metal agency and why you decide to go in that direction and why this metal agency is disrupted from every other options that we have out there.
Thank you. So my goal when I set up the company was to do a couple things that I felt like the marketplace didn't have.
Okay.
We are exclusive commercial agents to companies that hire us. So we buy and sell for companies exclusively on their behalf. They know where we sell. We know how much we sell for. The checks and the contracts go to their name. And we work on as an extension of their commercial operations. As simple as that. Very different model from brokering, where the supplier and consumer don't know each other, and there's no clarity on the transaction. We are the opposite. We also feel that if we provide these tools available to a small and mid-sized companies that are only available when you reach a certain level of growth, that all these companies will support us. So if you don't do hedging on your own, we have a hedging book that if you want to hedge one load of copper, we can help you with that. You don't have to have 100 loads of copper to hedge. We
Oh,
can certainly do
interesting.
one or two. Yeah, and the same thing with transportation, logistics. You don't have to have your own logistics team because you don't have the volume, or you don't have to shy away from logistics to ship internationally because you don't know how. If you have one container, we can help you with that. If you have 10, we help you with that. If you have 100, we can help you with that. So we can scale and expand as with that medium to a small size companies. And our service has been very well received. We're very happy. We are, expanding. We have a lot of consumers that we deal with in Europe on the aluminum, stainless steel, and copper side. But we also handle a lot of smaller accounts in the US where we actually market their material on behalf of them.
Right. What do you think about the recycling rates growing into the US? Are they growing or it is not happening right now? Because as far as I know, I remember when I one of the what so many episodes before in this podcast, I was talking about, European recycling rates. They are huge. I mean, talking about, for example, Germany, almost 100%, right? It is
Yes.
crazy. Not in the US. I think we are between the 45% and growing, but not that fast. From your perspective, that you are very involved into these recycling trades, it is happening right now, or you are seeing nothing changing right now?
Well, I didn't make a very good point. I mean, out of all the industrialized nations, United States holds one of the lowest recycling rates of among industrialized nations, right?
Right.
Uh, that means that there's a lot of stuff that is still making it to the landfill,
But why
right?
is that?
I,
Why?
I think I think a part of it is the educational component
Hmm.
and the component where Europe has been recycling um, for many decades now, and part of it is a requirement, and part of it is just culturally they have a better understanding from an educational standpoint how they can help the environment with that, right? For the United States, one of the things that I can tell you is that we have one of the lowest cost of landfill rates in the industrialized nation,
Right.
meaning that that is very different in Europe, where it costs
Oh,
about 3, 4 times more to landfill something compared to in America. So I think that we still have a long way to go. But I do also feel like we are in this transition where people are being more cognizant about it.
hmm,
I think that the new generation that is coming are are trying to be more aware and certainly are more aware about
definitely.
how they can impact with their purchasing power or their recycling options. So no hope is lost here, but we have a lot of ground to cover for sure.
Definitely. And we need to involve technology, knowledge, people, the society. Yes. Now, saying that, are you seeing more scrap going out of the US, or with all these different approaches from the political side, is the scrap staying in the US more and more?
I think that we're still seeing the dynamic that we are a net exporter of scrap compared to what we bring in, right?
Hmm.
And the reason is because the manufacturing centers for that utilization of scrap are not located in America currently, right? So the scrap naturally is going to flow to these countries that are the manufacturing centers of the globe, right? Asia, India, to a certain extent, Europe. We're trying to, America is trying to, redo that cycle, but it's a very long time cycle time. It's not something that is going to happen tomorrow.
No.
But as you know, at least think about aluminum, right? I mean, think about all the capacity that we have added on the aluminum sector in the last 5 years. Um, it is quite telling that we're trying to bring more of that manufacturing.
Right.
So a lot more of that scrap naturally is going to flow more into the U.S. as we become more of the manufacturing center.
Hmm.
Um, Copper, we're still lagging behind significantly.
Oh, yeah.
Steel, we're still lagging, behind significantly. I think that overall we're doing a pretty good job in the aluminum sector. We'll see how these tariffs will affect that going forward, but certainly at least the investment part has definitely been more prominent and robust on the aluminum sector than any other one that I can tell.
Right. What is more prominent into the aluminum sector instead of copper? Steel, I can imagine why, but copper, that is almost a precious metal, and we are seeing movement like, Whelan Group buying all in brass and growing here into the US. That tells something to us, right? But why do you think aluminum is leading this approach instead of copper that is very valuable?
Well, one is the investment part on the aluminum side. To your point, has been done a lot through a lot of companies that are trying to vertically integrate,
Right.
right? So they want to own from the mining to the smelting to the processing to the recycling yard. We're not seeing as much of that on the copper side, and the capital investment that is required on the copper side is significantly more from a manufacturing standpoint, but also the commodity trades at a ratios that are 5 times what aluminum is trading for.
Exactly.
So your point is, you call it precious metal. That's a great word for it because it's just as expensive. Uh, so the higher the value of that operation, and the higher the volatility of that pricing, the more hesitant companies are going to be to set up an operation to do it, domestically.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just trying to understand everything that is happening right now in the different. Let's talk about tariff. How the tariff are impacting today. We have tariff up to 50%, right? In some niches and in some metals, some commodities. How is this impacting right now the industry of the non-ferrous metals?
Well, it's first of all, it's the uncertainty, right? I mean, we went through a couple of months in there that we all thought that Copper Cato was going to get a tariff, and the
Right.
markets literally certainly priced it that way. I wrote a piece on LinkedIn that literally from the beginning of the year to a few months back, COMEX essentially penciled a 50% increase on price.
Right.
And then it didn't happen. So the uncertainty is definitely making for a very challenging time. Just yesterday, the U.S. started essentially levying a tariff on Chinese-made vessels that are moving cargo, container cargo into the U.S. Right, and depends on who you ask. The impact per container can be $100 per container to $200 per container.
Right.
So if you're an exporter or an importer of material, and now you have to pay $100 freight, $200 freight, when you're doing ones and twosies, it's not a significant number, but when you're doing thousands, it becomes a significant number.
Right.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, all of that price cost increases is going to flow to the consumer price index, and we're already seeing that. So it's making for a very challenging purchasing power for people with the same amount of money.
Right. Price wise, what are
Price.
yeah, but what are those strategies from the price point of view that you can, perform in order to fight this uncertainty? For example, for you at a metal agency, how are you approaching from the price strategy point of view?
That's a good question. So what we're advising, clients that we do sales for is like, hey, don't hold on inventory. Let's try to sell as quickly as we can,
Right. Yeah.
because because the closer that we are to zero, right, the less we're going to have out there at any given time that can change some significant price, good or bad, and we just don't want the volatility, right?
Right.
So we have a couple clients that sometimes like to sit on copper just so they can say they have 3 loads of copper there. And our advice is, hey man, let's sell it right away, so that we're not carrying the risk of a significant impact on that. That is one thing that we can do. And the other thing is we like to do business with people who are reputable and reliable.
Hmm.
And if there is a significant market change, if there is something that we need to kind of do different, we can sit with them and say, hey, let's figure this out.
Hmm.
Right now, unfortunately, it's just not the time to be able to wonder if your partner in the other side is going to hold an agreement on that.
Right.
It can be very tough and problematic.
Definitely. How do you manage different countries at the same time, and what are those differences? Because I know you are in Asia, Europe, Latin America as well. So, what are the panorama different between all of them? It's not easy.
No, it's not. And just this week, we started a new customer support person. So by the time she gets rolling in the next couple of weeks here, we're going to be able to provide about 17 hours of customer support around the clock,
Oh,
right?
wow.
Yes, we are truly trying to be as readily available as we can. And it makes it very challenging. Just from my time zone, I mean, Hawaii is 3 hours back, and India is 12 and a half hours forward. So that's 15 and a half hours spectrum. And I would like to sleep sometimes too. So
Why not, right? Why not?
yeah, why not, right? So we are hiring resources that are readily available for that. We also making technology available to our clients so that we can facilitate a little bit more of the transitional documents. So recently we onboarded a new technology platform where our clients can come into their own website on our website, and they can upload documents and take documents that we deposited there for
Okay.
them in the morning without having to wait for an email to come to us, password protected, and all of that. And we can make that documentation readily available to them 24/7 without having to
Nice.
figure out what time zone are we located on for somebody to receive that document. So
Right.
yeah.
No, very flexible. I like it. One of the questions that I have is what is going to be the future of Metal Agency and what you will bring into the table for this new era of the recycling industry.
Gotta tell you, Julio, man, you gave me a tough one today. um, it's a very interesting time for us because we are a small company that is growing, and I have a pretty good sense about how I want to grow. There are some commercial relationships that are just not a good fit for us, and we're trying to be very diligently about saying, "Hey, we appreciate the outreach, but that doesn't quite work for us."
Right.
Uh, and there's certain occasions that we just cannot provide the value that we would like to do. And the other thing is that I really concentrate in my team and the structure of my team and be able to service. Okay. Just today, we had a literally an hour and a half meeting about understanding global commodity trading. And we don't manufacture anything, right?
Right.
The companies that we service do. My company doesn't. So our product is service, right? And we're really trying to build and grow around that. We have encountered some growing pains along the way, like any other business.
Right.
The industry has been very supportive, and I think that as we continue to grow into the future, we want to keep with that. Servicing a small, mid-sized recycling yards that don't have the ability to reach for resources until they grow big beyond what they have today, we can definitely help them with that.
Right. Changing subject in order to wrap up this episode, why you decide also to make all this conference? You are a very how can I say, you have this charisma, right? That it is not easy to find. How is this charisma helping you to get in touch with people and networking, and why doing conference? Why you decide to go in that direction as well?
So first of all, my wife is going to disagree with you that I have charisma. That's that.
All wife will do that.
Oh, uh, but no, for me is I always bring out the idea that I don't mind sharing what I know. That's
Good.
just what it really comes down to. There's a lot of people that reach out to me for advice, and maybe it's something that is not something that we get involved with, and I don't mind guiding people and being able to provide some kind of sense of knowledge, or hey, don't go there because I had some budget problems, and
Right.
go here or try to go here. But I just believe that universal law of karma will look after you when you are making yourself available to be able to be a resource, and be able to be answering the phone for somebody that calls and say, hey, what do you think about this? um, I also love the knowledge part. I'm a very inquisitive person, and I think that we learn from everybody. And why not embrace this new medium of opportunity that we have to communicate? That is so awesome. It never fails on me that I do these podcast interviews. I meet people, and all of a sudden I get an email from somebody far away,
Right.
and they say, "Hey, I heard that you said this. What do you meant by that?" And here's the response, kind of situation. So first of all, I like it, and I think that is good, and I think that a lot of people have been very gracious with their own knowledge to me. Hey, why not share the same in whatever we can?
I I love it because I always said to some people that I know that it is not about the information that you have, it's about how you use that information. And if you can share the information, I mean, you will give the people the opportunity to grow, and if they grow, you will grow as well, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And if they grow, I mean, the industry grows, right? And you never know,
Exactly.
right? I
Exactly.
mean, tomorrow you could be doing business with somebody who you didn't even thought, and maybe you met at a conference and they were doing something completely different. I really cannot tell you. It's not a joke. There's so many things and so many businesses that we have done with people that we thought, maybe that's not what they do, and all of a sudden, yeah, hey, that's what they do. Let's do
Right.
it.
Right. Aldo, to finish the episode, what kind of advice you can give to the people that is listening this episode and that they really want to step into the industry but they don't have an idea about how to do it? What is the advice that you can give it to them?
But the advice to give it to them is go for it. There is really no specific map to follow. We all have come here and landed here on this industry very different ways, fascinating ways, if you ask me. There's really no roadmap, right?
Right.
But don't be afraid and reach out to people, pick their brains, right? Even today, I meet so many people on LinkedIn or a conference that I'm very interested about what they do because I always find it fascinating how this ecosystem is always very interconnected. So
Right.
yeah, go for it. There's no roadmap. We'll get there.
Just go and walk the path. It is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at me. My start in the industry was asking for a job that I was told no. And then I came back a few more times and I convinced the owner to give me a shot. And here I am 21 years later.
Great.
And I'm really happy for that decision. And I have met so many wonderful people and seen so many great places around the globe on this industry.
Right.
I'm really fascinated by it, and I really wish that more people will give us a look.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think the industry is growing. I think this kind of interaction is helping the industry to understand where we're going and where we are coming from. So I definitely think that we will see more and more people coming into the industry and pushing the industry in the right direction. Where people can find you.
Well, most people can find me on our website, right, themetalsagency.com, or they can give me a call, 510-219-0307. Happy to talk and entertain any ideas. And like I said before, I readily available and happy to talk to anyone.
Sounds great, Aldo. Thank you so much for making time for us. And guys,
Absolutely.
if you are looking for some metal trading agency that can help you to move in the right direction, reach out to Aldo. And again, appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. And hopefully, this is the first time that I will have you in the podcast. We will see more from you.
As long as you can invite me, I'll come back.
I will definitely. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Take care.
Daily
Thank
Scrap
you, guys. Take care.
Podcast.